I'm looking forward to some of the things that we're going to do on oversight as we continue to push back against this administration. Now that we know that they are doing things such as, snatching people off the streets and throwing them down in what I would consider to be concentration camps or prisons. And these are people that haven't been convicted of anything. And it's wrong. Listen, we have oversight over them. If we are in a contract with El Salvador, then it is us that have to decide as to whether or not they are violating human rights. And so we have to be given an opportunity to inspect. So even if James Comer says, no, Democrats, you can't go down there, well, we are elected members of the Oversight Committee. So we should be requiring that they turn over reports to us. Same thing with the FDA is they're going out and they're firing people and we don't know what its impact is going to be as it relates to our food supply. And they don't want to tell us about it, whether or not our food is going to be safe. Then guess what? We need to make sure that we require that they turn those documents over to us. Mm-hmm. And if they don't, guess what? We need to show up at their doors and we need to conduct a field hearing right there at FDA. Same thing as it relates to the planes that are falling out of the sky. Right. We need some real transparency and we need some honesty and we need to make sure that the American people are just as enraged as we all should be because this administration is truly trying to kill us, it feels like.
I think if there's anybody that's dumber than Chuck Schumer,
it's definitely Jasmine Crockett.
She's really out there fighting her way, climbing the ranks to outdo AOC, Elizabeth Warren. There's so many on the left, but she really has like outdone herself with how freaking stupid she is.
I was going to say, at least she's not as ratchet as normal, but she did say snatched. So the way she did it, I don't know.
I don't think that she can not be ratchet. She's earned that. She didn't even have to say a word. Just enter the room. Ratchet. Has entered the chat. But I really need your help here because I feel like there's going to be some key talking points here.
Okay.
That I don't want to miss.
All right.
As Chuck Schumer has apparently didn't get the memo. He's lost the plot. He is completely unaware of what the jobs report just revealed. Allow me to introduce you to the stupidity that is Chuck Schumer.
Now more than ever, we're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own.
Wait a second. We're short of workers, meaning bring back the illegals because we need more workers, although we have plenty of people here. And we have a population that's not reproducing on its own, meaning you're only reproducing if you're being forced to? Is he talking about the rapists that have been deported or what?
I mean, short on workers, the unemployment rate held steady at 4.2% as expected. And the jobs report increased despite there being a loss of government workers, which, by the way, government workers don't contribute towards GDP. So that's number one. Number two, people aren't reproducing on their own because you've made all the people who can reproduce men.
I was about to say,
or women.
Or whatever.
And
genetically confused.
Yeah. And I mean, your entire campaign was vasectomies and abortions.
So there's that.
Like, what is this dude even talking about?
With the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
That's a lot of people. How come the goal isn't getting the citizens of the United States into better houses or better employment or higher education or anything like that? Maybe help our homeless population, maybe help the veterans. What about the battered women? What about the orphans? What about all them? Why are we worried about everybody else but our own people?
There's over 300 million people in this country. And he's saying that
their whole goal is the 11 million immigrants.
They can't get a job and they can't reproduce. I'm pretty sure if you incentivize these people to go to work and have sex, that they would probably do it. I don't think the answer here is bringing in illegals, but obviously the only reason that they're doing that is so that they can increase their census and manipulate the electoral college and get votes, because they are going to give these folks free money, free Social Security, free Medicare. They're going to allow them to vote. They're going to not require voter ID.
But get this. So all the areas where the illegal immigrants have been deported, which is generally speaking very blue locations, those locations now without all those extra blue bodies in there or the amount of people in that space is going to make it so that a lot of those Democrats are going to lose their seats in whatever positions are held there, whether it's courtrooms, whether it's, state boards, whatever it is, because you're going to have more Republicans in those places
They're
now.
running out of time. They're working against the clock because as time goes on, America can't help but realize, even if you didn't vote for Trump, he's making America great again.
It's official. GDP is negative and it is glorious. Last week, the Bureau of Economic Analysis reported that GDP for the first 3 months of 2025 turned negative for the first time since 2022. The kicker is all of it was caused by a 41% surge of imports front-running tariffs, which official GDP bizarrely counts as negative GDP. Without those, actual GDP soared by 4.5%, which is Asia level. Actually gets better because government spending dropped for the first time since 2022, control for that, and the economy grew by nearly 5% on the quarter, which, fun fact, is double China's current growth rate. So what's driving the boom? Simple private sector investment, the mother's milk of prosperity. BAA said investment skyrocketed in the quarter by 22%, much of it driven ironically by the very same tariffs that took the headline number down, as in foreign companies are falling over themselves to move production inside Donald Trump's tariff umbrella and produce in America. So going by those numbers, America is reindustrializing at light speed, and the tip of the spear is foreign companies moving production here. Recent video I'd mentioned how massive these incoming investments are. The time it was $3 trillion, including $165 billion from Taiwan Semiconductor, $100 billion from Japan SoftBank, $500 billion from Apple, and $2 trillion combined from Dubai and Saudi Arabia. That number is now up to $5 trillion in announced deals. Last week, Trump said the real number is $8 trillion and counting.
He's doing what he said he would do, and it's working really well. And then eventually the Democrats are going to have nothing left to stand on. Mm-hmm. They're going to have nothing left to stand on.
Exactly.
However, speaking of blue states or blue cities or blue control, what they will do in the meantime is raise your taxes. So if you live in Washington, I hate to say it, but you just got fucked.
Transportation budget, but $8 or $10 billion of taxes. You're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $8 to $10 billion in new taxes on the people of Washington. And that's just the taxes to fund the operating budget. That doesn't include all the taxes and fees, including a new gas tax and diesel tax to fund the transportation budget. But $8 or $10 billion of taxes. This is the biggest tax increase in Washington state history, despite Democrats' attempts to target those taxes to wealthy Washingtonians and big businesses. They're actually going to hit ordinary, everyday Washingtonians through things like higher housing costs, higher healthcare costs, higher grocery and food prices. That's unacceptable. We want to make Washington more affordable. That's what Republicans set out this session trying to do, make Washington more affordable. And unfortunately, through the biggest tax increase in Washington state's history, despite the attempts and claims that it's going to hit wealthy Washingtonians and big business, it's just not true. It's going to hit regular people, and your cost of housing, fuel, gas, groceries, healthcare, all going to go up, unfortunately.
This almost sounded a little bit unreal, but I checked. Yes, it's true. Washington Democrats passed this nearly $9.5 billion tax package, and it's still pales in comparison to the actual estimated $16 billion shortfall that they're expecting. Now, God forbid they do anything to try and reduce their costs and their expenses. Instead, let's just charge you more taxes. And that is exactly what they're going to do. Business taxes, increases in taxes on financial institutions, and an additional surcharge on corporations with revenues over $250 million. So that's going to impact about 400 different corporations. And so, ironically, Boeing is exempt. They're excluded from this. However, just think, you're going to see surcharges tacked on to your receipts totals. You're going to see increases in fee charges from financial institutions, cough, cough, banks, capital gains tax, up almost 3%. An additional 2.9% tax on capital gains, sales tax expansion, application of retail sales tax to services like IT consulting, advertising, and staffing, projected to generate nearly $5 billion in revenue and tax revenue. So they're going to start taxing you on consulting, on advertising, staffing. That cost will be passed on, folks. Advanced computing surcharges, electric vehicle tax credits, and it's not what you think. This is a new tax on the sale of EVs, and they're calling it the Tesla tax, and they're expecting to bring in $55 million, so nearly $55 million. This is insane, folks. This is unreal. While President Trump is out there trying to lower taxes, offset the revenue by using tariffs and eliminating income tax for those earning under... How much was it? I can't remember the exact number, but I'll have to look that up. In contrast, the Democrats are doing the exact opposite. They're sticking it to you. And they're sticking it to you at a time like this when they can try and potentially pin it on the Trump administration for having raised taxes. Come on, guys. Pay attention. You know the truth. These Democrats just slammed us with almost $9.5 billion tax bomb. And it's going to hit you hard. And it's going to hit the folks who are already feeling the pinch, the squeeze, broke and scraping by the hardest. And if that's you, then I feel for you. They say it's to fix the budget, but don't be fooled, folks. This is going to jack up the cost of living. And folks are going to feel it in their wallet. Simply put, let's break this down. This may piss you off. It may anger you. It may introduce fear, higher prices for everything. They're taxing stuff like IT help, ads, advertising, staffing. That means businesses will charge you more for the things like fixing your phone, shopping online, or even hiring someone. I think even Walmart's charging people $6.99 if they don't have their EBT attached or something to their app. Expect to pay hundreds extra a year on stuff you need, and that's basically your money gone. Big tech and banks will screw you, likely, potentially more. They're hitting companies like Amazon, Microsoft, and banks with huge taxes. But guess what? Those giants don't eat the cost. They raise prices on your Amazon orders, bank fees, or credit card bills. Your groceries, clothes, and Netflix will cost more too. Tesla. Yeah, the Tesla tax hits your dreams. And if any of you did want an electric car to save on gas, well, tough luck. They're taxing EV credits, so cars like Teslas will get pricier. Kiss that dream goodbye while gas prices keep burning you. And these taxes potentially could have an impact on the rich getting richer or you getting poorer. And they're saying that taxing big investors' profits will possibly cause them to mess with housing or jobs. And rent's already insane, on average several $1,000s a month. And now it could get worse. Jobs might disappear too if businesses ditch Washington. And perhaps maybe the reasons why you should be upset about this is if you're already broke. And these taxes will just make basics like food, rent, or internet more costly, more expensive, cost more. A family could lose $500 to $1,000 a year just on higher prices alone. Washington's taxes already screwed over poor people the most. The bottom 20% pay 17% of their income in taxes, while the rich pay just 4%. This makes it worse. The government saying we need money, but they're taking it from you instead of actually trying to figure out ways to cut their expenses and lower their costs and adjust their budgets. I guess they're just betting that you won't notice because you don't get how taxes or businesses work. It's part of their psyop, right? Granted, if you're afraid and you're feeling worried, panic, fear, or anxiety, I get it. I understand. It makes sense. I mean, if prices keep climbing, you might not be able to afford rent, gas, or groceries. More people could end up homeless or stuck in debt. Businesses might fire people or leave the state. And so your job or your side hustle or both could be at risk. Nobody's explaining this clearly because they think that we're all too dumb to care about the economics. And I think they're wrong. But ultimately, you'll feel the pain. They want us to. You don't need a degree in political science to know when they're screwing you, right?